Proverbs chapter 21 verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Chakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us His word and teach us His word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yalta Zakba from the GMS Nebraska camp. This is GMS Endeavor. And in this lesson, as I read the scripture, I want to get into how the kings and rulers of this earth are set up to do the Lord's will and to ultimately glorify Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and to further His will. Right now you have Donald Trump in office, and he hasn't been in office not even a week yet, but we see the legislation that he's passing, the moves that he's making, and it's in the direction of furthering prophecy. It's in the direction of furthering the Lord's will, as we can see with the $500 billion that he's pouring into AI infrastructure. He's signing off on cryptocurrencies in the US. These different things where before he was saying that he wasn't for these things, but the Lord set him up so that this prophecy of the MOTB, this prophecy of the image of the beast, could be furthered, as we can see with the deportation of the illegal immigrants. And brothers have been making a great point that you have illegal immigrants from different nations, such as the so-called Asians, the so-called Afghanis, though they are in the country as well, yet you mainly see Issacharites being deported, Israelites being deported, and it's a early stage of Jacob's trouble for the northern kingdom. And we just see the actions that Trump is taking is in the direction of the Lord's will being furthered. And this has always been the case in the scriptures, where the rulers of the earth were set up to do what the Lord wanted them to do so that His purpose could be fulfilled. Let's go to Romans chapter 9 verse 17. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee. Right, because when you go back into Exodus and our people were in captivity under Pharaoh, Moses came unto Pharaoh and with the Lord's name and with the command unto Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, or else the Lord would send plagues. Now, when them plagues were sent, you had multiple times that the Pharaoh was ready to let us go, yet the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Like it says in Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, which is the king's mind. So the Lord would change Pharaoh's mind to not want to let our people go, which would in turn cause the Lord to send more plagues, where eventually the Israelites were let go, and the Lord caused Pharaoh to chase after us with his army, and he was him and his whole army was destroyed in the Red Sea. And so let's read on in the scripture. It says, and that my name might be declared throughout the whole throughout all the earth. So that process of events was to show the Lord's power, to show that the Israelites had the one true power with them, to show that to magnify the Lord's name, which that was accomplished in that succession of events with Pharaoh and the Israelites being freed from his captivity, and us reaching our holy land. The Lord set Pharaoh up and had him do all the actions that he did so that all these events could happen. As we go to Jeremiah chapter 27 verse 5, I have made the earth, the man, and the beast that are upon the ground, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me. So, there is no free will. There is no, whatever plans man can think to have. The Lord has created all of this to do what he wants to happen. The Lord has written everything to happen from the beginning and foundations of the world, and it's going to happen in that way, period. It says, and now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant. So it calls Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the Lord's servant. And a servant is, when you think of a servant, it is doing the bidding, or the will or the work of a master over him. So Nebuchadnezzar, who was ruling the Babylonian Empire, who had who was the king over the really the known earth at the time, he was just doing the work of the Lord, who was the master. So it says, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him. Right, so Nebuchadnezzar was set up, and he brought down the southern kingdom of Israel. And the Lord set him up to do that because of the wickedness that our people were committing. That's why he brought us, that's why he was able to bring us into captivity. That's why the Lord allowed that heathen to have, to bear a rule over us, so that we could serve out our punishment. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 28. Oh, and before we move on to that scripture, because remember, it all the glory goes to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, because when Nebuchadnezzar gave the glory to himself, what did the Lord do? He put him in a low base, beast-like mindset, showing that it wasn't Nebuchadnezzar whom the glory went to. It wasn't his will. It wasn't his power through whom he had his kingdom. It was the Lord who allowed all these things to fall into his hand. So let's go to Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 28. That said of Cyrus, so Cyrus was the king of the Medo-Persian Empire. It says, he is my shepherd and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Right, because when Nebuchadnezzar was ruling on the earth, and when he came and brought our people into captivity, he destroyed the first temple. Now, when the Lord brought Cyrus into power, the mindset that he had on Cyrus was to allow our people to rebuild the temple and to rebuild the temple. He put forth Cyrus's decree. He put forth the decree that our people could go back and rebuild, and which allowed us to rebuild the temple, and furthermore rebuild Jerusalem. Now the Lord set up Cyrus in such a way and put such a mind in him that he was accepting of different people's quote unquote religions, or different the gods that different people worshipped. So while Nebuchadnezzar, him being a Babylonian, if he subdued you, you had to serve his God. You had to become, you had to follow the Babylonian way. Well, with Cyrus, he allowed, the Israelites to be Israelites and to serve Yahweh. And the Lord set him up in that way so that we could go back and rebuild and have our temple rebuilt. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45 verse 1. It says, thus said the Lord Yahweh to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him. And I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two-leaved gates, and the gate shall not be shut. So it calls Cyrus the Lord's anointed. When you hear the anointed, you think of, Yahushua or King David, or the nation of Israel, his anointed people. Well, it calls Cyrus, a heathen, his anointed. Why does it call him that? Because the Lord appointed him to do something. The Lord set him up for a purpose. So that's why the Lord, created Cyrus and, set him up to be accepting of, us following the Lord Yahweh, because it was the Lord's purpose that we would go back and rebuild our temple and rebuild Jerusalem. Hey, when you think of Alexander, the scriptures in Daniel prophesies about the Greek Empire, and they are represented by a leopard. And when you go into Alexander and him conquering to set up the Greek Empire, he did it in 12 years, which is a very fast time. And so that it was prophesied that Alexander would do that. The Lord was working with Alexander to conquer all the different lands that he did in the speed that he did. He wouldn't have been able to do that by his own power. The Lord set him up to be able to do that. That's why he was winning all them battles. That's why he conquered all that he conquered in the speed that he did, because the Lord was working with him. And as soon as Alexander, conquered all the lands that the Lord appointed him to conquer, and he set up his empire, the Lord smote him with a sickness, because he was done serving the purpose that he was supposed to serve. So just mentioning these things and these different kings and these different accounts in the scriptures to show that all these rulers, all the kings of the earth, they're all set up to do what the Lord wants them to do. And we see that Donald Trump is furthering end time prophecy, and these prophecies such as the MOTB, such as Jacob's trouble, hey, he's barking at Russia, that's boiling that pot for World War III. All these end time prophecies are prophecies that once they happen, that's when the salvation of the nation of Israel comes, and that's when this kingdom will be brought down. And so let's get Psalms, I believe it was 107. Here, let me check. Psalms chapter 102 verse 15. So it says, so the heathen shall fear the name of the Lord Yahweh, and all the kings of the earth thy glory. When the Lord Yahweh shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. So as I said before, Trump is furthering these prophecies, and once these prophecies fully manifest and they are done in their completion, that's when salvation comes. And once the Lord returns, all the heathen will recognize the Lord in his returning. It says that every eye shall see the Lord when he returns. Every eye is going to see when the elect of the nation of Israel is being beamed up, when the elect receive salvation. Every eye is going to see when this kingdom is destroyed. And the Lord has set Trump up to, if not completely seal these prophecies in their fullness, to at least, Salaki, I had an interruption there, but as I was saying, the Lord is at least, he has at least set this man up to introduce these not introduce these prophecies, but to get them rolling in some fashion, and so let's get this one last scripture, Job chapter 20 verse 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Right? So Esau Edom, in the fullness of his sufficiency, that's when all of his plans, his idea for his image is all the way set up, his new world order. And it says that he shall be in straits. He's going to be in a difficult position once he achieves his new world order. It says every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So What's that wicked speaking about? That goes back to the Hebrew word aimal, which is speaking about the laborers or sufferers in this world, which is alluding to the nation of Israel. Because once, you know, that new world order is set up, and, you know, he's in the fullness of his sufficiency, he's achieved the things that he has set out to achieve. He's put the MOTB, you know, in those who are marked for destruction. You know, he's furthered his agenda to its completion. That's when the Lord will return. That's when the elect of the nation of Israel will rise up and be brought into power, and Esau Edom will be brought down. You know, and he'll be brought down by the nation of Israel underneath the power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You know, so it says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. You know, and we're on our way to these prophecies being fulfilled. You know, we're in the middle of it right now. We see it taking place right before our eyes. And as I read in an article speaking about that Stargate project, you know, I forget exactly who said it, but, you know, you had the man that said, hey, under any other president, you know, we wouldn't have seen these things take place. You know, he was basically saying, you know, Trump was the guy to get these things, you know, in order. Trump was the guy to get these administrations, this legislation signed, and to get these plans rolling. And it's all set up by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. He put him in that office. He set who he set up and you know, put in the different places so that the Lord's will can be done at the end of the day. So, hey, that's all I want to get with this lesson. You know, hopefully it was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hawah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us this word, teach us this word today, and a salutation unto the elect. Hey, shalom.